Have you ever heard a whisper that wasn't carried by the wind, but something else? They say the woods have a memory. Every tree, every shadow, every breath of air remembers the voices that once passed through them. And sometimes, when the forest gets lonely enough, it calls those voices back. 2 stories, 2 nights, 2 people who walked into the woods and never truly came out. Because the whisper doesn't just call your name, it learns it. And once it does, you'll never be alone again. Story 1. The first time I heard the whisper, it called my name. Soft, drawn out, as if the wind itself was alive and knew who I was. I remember freezing, my flashlight trembling in my hand, cutting through the thick mist that curled around the trees. My breath fogged in the cold night air, and everything was silent except for that single, haunting sound. Daniel. At first, I thought it was a prank, my friends trying to scare me. But when I called out, no one answered. The only reply was the whisper again, closer this time. That night was supposed to be simple, a camping trip. Just me, my girlfriend Amy, and my 2 best friends, Tyler and Ben. We were seniors in college, looking for one last adventure before graduation. Tyler had found this spot deep in the Pine Hollow forest, supposedly off the grid, a place where no one went anymore. That should have been the first red flag. But Tyler had always been the thrill seeker, and we followed him. The woods were endless. Old trees clawed at the sky, their twisted branches blocking the moonlight. The air smelled damp and earthy, like something ancient lived beneath the ground. When we found the clearing, it felt almost too perfect. A small circle of grass surrounded by towering oaks with a half-collapsed wooden sign nailed to one of them. The paint had faded, but I could just barely make out the words. Whisper Hollow, stay on the path. Amy laughed when she saw it. Creepy, she said, but we all shrugged it off. We set up camp, roasted marshmallows, and drank cheap beer until the fire turned to embers. Everything was normal until around 2 a.m. That's when Ben said he heard something. At first it was faint, like the sound of someone humming just beyond the tree line. We thought it was the wind, but it didn't stop. It grew sharper, almost human, a whisper that seemed to circle the camp. We turned off our lanterns and listened. The night swallowed us in silence. Then, clear as day, we heard it. Daniel. Amy clutched my arm. Did someone just... Shh, Tyler hissed. Listen. There it was again. Louder, closer. Daniel. The voice was soft and airy, but something about it felt wrong. Hollow, like it wasn't coming from a person, but from the forest itself. Tyler grabbed a flashlight and said, "It's probably some idiot messing with us." He marched toward the sound. Ben followed him, against my warning. Amy begged me not to go, but I couldn't just let them wander off. We moved through the woods, our lights cutting through the dark. The whisper danced between the trees, always just ahead of us. And then, suddenly, it stopped. The silence was heavy, unnatural. I called out for Tyler, then for Ben, but there was no reply. My stomach twisted. We searched for nearly an hour before we saw it. Tyler's flashlight lying in the dirt, still on. The lens was cracked, and beside it we found footprints. Except they weren't human. The prints were long, thin, and deep, as if someone had dragged their fingers through the mud. 5 narrow grooves, leading away into the darkness. Amy wanted to go back to the tent, but I couldn't leave them. We followed the marks until we reached a clearing I swear wasn't there before. In the center stood an old wooden well, its stones crumbling and covered in moss. The whisper came again, from inside the well. Daniel. It sounded exactly like my mother. But my mother had died 2 years earlier. Amy screamed when she heard her own name next. Amy. It mimicked her voice perfectly, only softer, more broken. I looked inside the well. The beam of my flashlight barely reached the bottom. That's when something moved down there. A shadow, shifting, like it was climbing up. We ran. We sprinted through the forest, tripping over roots and rocks, not daring to look back. The whisper followed us. Hundreds of voices now, all overlapping, all calling our names. When we finally made it back to the camp, the fire was out, and Ben was sitting by it. Or at least, what looked like Ben. He was facing away from us, perfectly still. I ran to him, shouting his name, but when I touched his shoulder, he turned, and I'll never forget that face. His eyes were completely white, like glass. His mouth hung open, whispering something so faint I could barely hear it. I leaned closer, and he said, "It's coming." Amy screamed. I grabbed her, and we ran again, this time straight toward the road. But Pine Hollow doesn't let you go easily. Every direction looked the same. The same trees, the same shadows, the same goddamn whisper that wouldn't stop. We must have walked for hours before we stumbled into an old ranger station. It looked abandoned. Windows were shattered, but there was a faint light inside. I pushed the door open and called out for help. That's when a voice from the corner said, "You shouldn't have followed it." An old man sat by a lantern, his eyes sunken and tired. He looked like he hadn't slept in years. "What are you talking about?" I asked, gasping for breath. He just shook his head. "The whisper. It calls by name. Once you hear it, it remembers you. It's the forest's hunger." Amy started crying. "We just need to get out. Our friends." He cut her off. "If your friends heard it, they're already gone. It doesn't take the body, just the voice. That's what it feeds on." I didn't understand what he meant until we heard footsteps outside. Slow, dragging. Then, a knock on the door. 3 soft taps. "Daniel." It was Tyler's voice. The old man stood and grabbed a rusty shotgun. "Don't open that door." But Amy ran to it anyway. "Tyler. Oh my God, Tyler." Before I could stop her, she flung it open. Tyler stood there, or rather, something wearing his face. His eyes were gone, replaced with black pits that seemed to breathe. His lips didn't move, but I could hear him whispering inside my head. "Come back to the woods." The old man fired. The blast echoed through the trees, and Tyler's body collapsed. But when it hit the floor, it turned to dust. Just gone. Amy screamed and ran out into the night. I chased after her, but she was too fast. I followed her voice, calling her name, until I realized the voice I was following wasn't hers. It was the whisper, mimicking her perfectly. That's when I stopped running. And I listened. The forest was alive. Every branch, every gust of wind, every shadow breathing in unison, whispering. Hundreds of voices, all murmuring the same thing over and over. "Stay." Then, silence. When I woke up, it was daylight. The forest was quiet again. Amy was gone. Tyler and Ben, gone. I stumbled out onto a dirt road, my head spinning, my throat dry. A park ranger found me hours later, wandering barefoot and dazed. They said I was lucky to be alive. They never found my friends. Not a trace. I tried to tell them about the voices, about what I saw, but they looked at me like I was crazy. I stopped talking about it after that. It's been 3 years since that night. I've moved to a city far away, started a new job, tried to rebuild my life. But sometimes, when it's quiet, when the wind blows through the trees outside my window, I still hear it, that soft, familiar voice. Daniel. And last night, for the first time, it didn't come from outside. It came from inside my apartment, from the closet, whispering, calling my name. And this time, I whispered back. Story 2. The first whisper didn't call my name. It just laughed. Low, hollow, like someone trying to remember how to sound human. I was out there alone that night. Pinecrest Forest, just outside of Brookhaven. I wasn't camping for fun, I was working. I'm a search and rescue volunteer. We got a call around 8 p.m. about a missing girl, 15 years old, last seen hiking with her father. He said she ran ahead on the trail laughing and never came back. By the time I arrived, the sun was gone and fog had swallowed the woods. I'd been doing this job for 6 years. I've seen people lost, frozen, even attacked by animals, but nothing could have prepared me for what I found that night. Her name was Leela. We split into 3 teams. My partner was Mason, ex-Marine, steady guy, not easily scared. We took the western path, the one the locals call the Echo Trail. The name fits. Every step you take out there bounces back at you, a few seconds late, like the forest is answering. For the first 2 hours, it was uneventful. Just silence, radio check-ins, and the crunch of leaves under our boots. Then, around midnight, Mason froze. "You hear that?" he said. At first I didn't. Then, I did. A faint whisper, drifting through the trees. Too soft to make out words. We called out, "Lila?" And the whisper stopped. Then, from somewhere deeper in the woods, came a small voice. "I'm here." Mason and I locked eyes. We both heard it. It was a girl's voice, fragile, trembling. We started running toward the sound, calling her name. The forest thickened around us, branches clawing at our jackets, roots tripping our feet. Then we saw her flashlight, faint, flickering. It was lying on the ground, still warm. But there was no sign of Lila, only footprints, small ones, leading away from the trail. We followed them, even though every rule said not to leave the path. The ground was soft and wet. After about 50 feet, the prints just stopped. No more tracks, nothing, but the whisper returned. This time, it was closer. And it wasn't just one voice, it was 2, both speaking at once, one soft and pleading, one low and cruel. "I'm here. Don't listen." I can still hear it, like 2 versions of the same person, fighting over which one was real. Mason turned to me. It's ventriloquism or an echo, has to be. But the look in his eyes said otherwise. We tried to radio the other teams, no signal. Then, from the darkness, something laughed. It wasn't a normal laugh. It echoed in every direction, twisting and bending like the forest itself was mocking us. "Okay," I said, "we're leaving." But Mason didn't move. He was staring straight ahead, flashlight fixed on something. "Do you see her?" he whispered. I looked, and there she was, a girl standing between the trees, about 30 feet away, pale skin, muddy clothes, long black hair hanging over her face. "Lila?" I called. She didn't move. Then Mason stepped forward, raising his flashlight. "Hey, it's okay. We're here to help you." But the beam passed right through her. No shadow, no reflection in her eyes. Just nothing. And yet, the whisper came again. "I'm here." Then another voice answered from behind us. "No, I'm here." We spun around and saw her again. Same girl, same clothes, same face. 2 Lilas, one ahead of us, one behind. The one behind was crying. The one ahead was smiling. Mason whispered, "Which one's real?" I said, "Neither." That's when the laughing started again. This time from all around us. The air turned colder. Our flashlights flickered. The forest began to hum, a low vibration that made my chest ache. Mason grabbed my arm. "We're leaving now." But before we could take a step, the crying Lila screamed. It wasn't the sound of a child. It was deep, guttural, like the forest itself had opened its throat. Every tree shook. Birds exploded out of the canopy. And then, silence. Mason was gone. I swear, he was right beside me. I didn't even hear him move. 1 second he was there, the next, nothing. His radio, his flashlight, his footprints, gone. Only that whisper remained. "Don't look back." I ran. I didn't think. I just ran until my legs gave out. When I woke up, it was morning. The search teams found me curled beside the trail, covered in dirt. They never found Mason or Lila. They said I must have hit my head, imagined the voices. But I didn't imagine what they found next. 2 sets of footprints, small, child-sized, both leading out of the woods, side by side, and then stopping halfway, merging into one. They called off the search 2 days later. That should have been the end. But a week after, my phone rang. Unknown number. When I answered, there was nothing but static and a whisper. "Help me." I froze. It was Lila's voice. Then, another voice, layered over hers. Deeper, rougher, almost the same. "Don't help her." Click. The call ended. I traced the number. It was registered to Mason's phone. That phone was found last week. Guess where? In the middle of Pinecrest Forest. On Echo Trail. The battery was dead, but the last recording was still there. 4 seconds long. Mason's voice, panicked, whispering into the mic. "It's not the girl. It's what took her. And now, it sounds like me." The end.